Chapter 71. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. 71 Mass Release / Chapter 71. For Dragon Summoner Rings, Matt, the kid is back. One of his men said. But how is he able to disappear and appear as he wishes? Something seems different about him. He looks more attractive than before. I already told you, he's so stronger than we think. Another said. But that doesn't mean he can escape the death that comes from the blade of this sword, Ratton said as he made his way toward Kevin. But he had suddenly seen the dark elf approaching, thinking of dealing with her before killing Kevin. An evil smile curved from his lips as he fastened his pace, but he immediately saw another girl appear in front of her. He could see who the girl was. It was Lexa, the fairy Graham said he wanted. Lexa appeared in front of Jerry using her shadow magic. Stop, you're going nowhere. Are you trying to hurt one of the students of the light creatures? She asked, unaware of the danger behind her. Jerry's mouth was opened wide and she was slow to save her from being stabbed. Ratton was so close to her and he couldn't stop his speed anymore. He closed his eyes as he felt the sword pierce into something solid. Shit. I fucked up. He screamed in his mind without opening his eyes. No, he could hear the screams of the people around him. He stabbed her in the back. Or maybe not. Ratton felt someone holding onto the sword that was in his hands. The force was strong that he had immediately let go. But something told him to open his eyes to see who it was. He opened his eyes and saw Kevin standing in front of him. Kevin had the sword in his hands, but as he looked at Kevin's stomach, he saw that the sword pierced into his body. An evil smile formed on his lips as he saw this, but they soon faded as he saw Kevin's wound heal back as if nothing happened. The wound was a wide and deep one that would take 3 to 4 weeks to heal, but surprisingly, it took only 4 seconds to get it all healed by Kevin. How in the world were you able to do that? Ratton asked. Who are you? You're not an ordinary elf. Oh, so you want to know. After all, you've been trying to make sure I die. Wait, did I offend you or something? Just as Kevin kept on saying this, he slowly strode towards Ratton, while Ratton kept on moving step by step backward. Kevin looked back to see if Lexa was okay. As soon as he saw that Ratton was about to stab Lexa from the back, he used his shadow hop skill to appear behind Lexa's back, in front of Ratton, and took the attack in place of Lexa. Luckily, since the system had helped him to create a blockage cell, he was able to receive any attacks without feeling pain or anything. The sword did pierce into his body because it was filled with a very strong spell, but Kevin didn't feel a single pain from it. If it were an ordinary sword, the sword wouldn't have pierced into his body, but because the sword was filled with a very powerful spell, that was what made him have the wound that he had in his stomach. The cell was supposed to be a barrier that wouldn't permit anything to pierce through his skin, but he could only guess that it was because he was still weak. Perhaps if he levels up, the cell blockage could increase more than this. And he'll be able to block whatever attack was made to his body. Kevin clasped Ratton's hands and yanked him to the floor. He saw the trilling ring in his hands and slowly removed it from his fingers. After successfully removing the ring from his fingers, Ratton felt a bit weaker than before. Proceeding the next thing, Kevin started putting the ring into his finger. Yeah, Kevin answered and the system beeped in approval. Soon, the ring started disappearing into the air, but Kevin felt re-energized. Rewards and new skills were granted to him, but he's currently at a time when he needed to postpone the reading for later. He needs to take the rest of the trilling rings that are in the hands of these unworthy fellows. Eddie E.T., are you guys glimpsing what I'm seeing? One of Matt's men whispered. The trilling ring disappeared from his fingers. What could that mean? No, it couldn't be, Matt yelled. Only the trilling was able to do things like that. Or. Matt's eyes suddenly widened. Guys, go. He's a trilling. We can't survive fighting him. Matt shouted for his men to leave. They headed for the door hidden at the back since they could not go through the one at the front anyway. Lifting his head, he saw the three elves trying to escape from him, but before they could go any further, Kevin sent bolts of lightning striking at each of them. I would have to keep at least one of you alive, but it seems like you already knew who I am. I have no reason to keep you guys alive, Kevin announced as he removed each of the rings from the hands of the elves. Now he has a total of 4 dragon summoner rings. Just as the system had shown, the dragon summoner rings are in a total of 30 rings, but presently, there are only 4 of the rings available with Kevin. He has no idea where the rest of the rings could be, but he'll keep on searching. Until he suddenly recalled something that was said to him by Bryce. He mentioned that he purchased the trilling ring from a man in the black market. The man was the one who sold all the rings to the students. He must have an idea of where each of his buyers came from. Chapter 72. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 72 Mass Release / Chapter 72. First Kiss, Yes. Suddenly, Kevin started sensing his body aching all over. An immense amount of pain had struck him all over his body. He would have sworn that this was the first time he would be undergoing this amount of pain when he had leveled up from levels 1 to 2, to 3 and 4, he noticed that the pain kept on increasing with each level up. The 2 girls came to his aid as they saw him groaning in pain on the floor. Oh my God! What's wrong with him? Lexa panicked as she felt Kevin's temperature and saw that it was very high. This is his way of leveling up as a trilling, Jerry replied. Excuse me? Lexa asked. Oh, I forgot that you're not too close to know that he's the trilling. Boo! Shame on you. Jerry blew raspberries. Are you kidding me? That we're close with each other doesn't mean he has to tell me everything going on in his life. And now that we're not so close, if he wants to tell me what's happening to him, he will. I bet you intimidated him to tell you by using your day's spell or something on him. Noel.n. It seems like someone is having senses little by little. But sadly, the person is still senseless. You crazy bitch, I told you to stay away from him, Lexa said as she pulled onto Jerry's hair while Jerry also pulled onto Lexa's. None of us won in the fight, so I have no reason to stay away from him, Jerry replied. Even if you are sent away from our land. That will never happen. Since we're already in this place, we're here to stay and to rule. Never. I'll see to your dismissal from this school. Then let's wait and see, the winner gets a prize, Jerry said. No, I'm not interested in any stupid betting of yours. See, you're already losing hope in yourself. Kevin is mine forever. Jerry laughed boisterously, which infuriated Lexa vastly. Kevin is not yours, you crazy whore. The 2 girls started the girlish fight since they were both too tired to engage in any shadow fighting or others. A girlish fight is when 2 or more girls start pulling each other's hair, pinching each other, slapping, and beating each other, all because of a male. What's going on? Is the creatures of the dark and light coming together or what? Kevin wondered. What he read just now indicates that there's a probability chance that there would be 2 schools for both creatures. Kevin was getting relieved from the pain he was feeling, but the noise of people fighting beside him was disturbing. Wondering who was fighting, Kevin lifted himself from the ground and saw that it was surprisingly the 2 girls. Wow, already? The system said. These girls are head over heels for you. Shut up, system, I'm not talking to you. Hey, you know you can also make Lexa your second harem wife, she's just as strong as Jerry, they'll help you gain more EXP. Thanks, Mr. Advisor, but I'm not interested, Kevin said before facing the girls to stop the conflict. Girls. Kevin called and gave a clapping to draw their attention to him. The 2 girls instantly lifted their faces upward to see who was calling them. What Kevin noticed was that the girls already had their shirts torn, revealing the singlets they wore under. But what surprised Kevin was that the girls didn't even care about their worn clothes, he could see them muttering gibberish. Oh my God, an angel. He's so pretty. The 2 suddenly stood at the same time and ran towards Kevin only to land kisses on his face. Yuck, what's wrong with you 2? Kevin tried to push them away but Jerry had instead pushed him to the ground and was now on top of him. He realized that it was because of his charm stat that they are acting like this. I'm your harem wife so you must treat me like one. Now taste from my juicy strawberry lips. Jerry crushed her lips on Kevin's lips and both started kissing. As if Kevin had anticipated this, he grabbed Jerry closer to himself and kissed her more passionately. The second girl, Lexa, who was also not in her actual senses, had pushed Lexa away from Kevin and had given him a kiss of his own. Perhaps it was because of the feelings he had for Lexa, Kevin kissed Lexa more passionately than he kissed Jerry. To be honest, he quite enjoyed Lexa's lips more than Jerry's. What the hell am I doing? Kevin screamed in his head as he realized what he was doing with the girls. If it was just Jerry, he knew that there was no problem since she was his harem wife anyway, but as for Lexa, how would he explain to her that it was a mistake for having a beauty charm that keeps the onlooker dazed? He would have sworn his charm was crazier than the spell Jerry used on him. I didn't know you're such a romantic and great kisser as this, the system said. I should have programmed a prostitute quest for you. The quest will force you to have fun with a whore or prostitute by force, ahaha. Come on, cut it out, you're annoying. Just tell me how to stop this shit. I'll mass release the other chapters later. Chapter 73. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 73 Mass Release / Chapter 73. Anger spell. The girls came back to their senses and as they came to a realization of what they just did, the two blushed in embarrassment. Although Jerry wasn't so bothered by the fact that she kissed Kevin, Lexa was so embarrassed. She recalled all what happened and wondered if it was really her that did that. She saw Kevin's glowing face and as if she was charmed by a spell, she suddenly doesn't know what she was doing. She walked towards Kevin and had kissed him. Is that not embarrassing? Lexa squeezed her lips and cried within herself. What did I just do? I can't face Kevin like this. No, it's so embarrassing. Lexa, are you okay? Kevin saw her facing the back with her head turned to the floor. Kevin walked towards Lexa and grabbed her hands. Lexa, it's all right. I'm sorry for what I did. It was unintentional. I'm the one at fault. Why are you begging? Lexa mumbled within herself. Although Kevin could hear what she said, he decided to tease her a little bit. What did you say, Lexa? You want me to kneel? Ha! He smiled. Leave me alone. Lexa said silently. A smile suddenly formed across her lips but she was trying her best to hide the smile on her face. She just couldn't face Kevin in her blushing state. The unbothered Jerry abruptly walked towards Kevin and had grabbed his hands. Oh my goodness, Kevin, I didn't know you're so hot and romantic as this. I really enjoyed this kiss. When are we going for the next step, husband? Jerry said as she wrapped her hands around Kevin. Lexa's eyes fluttered wide in surprise as she heard Jerry call Kevin husband. She didn't know when she turned around to face the two students. What's happening? Shouldn't you be ashamed of what you did? Lexa said. Despite what Jerry did by kissing Kevin, Lexa couldn't believe that Jerry didn't feel any remorse on her action. Instead of pleading that it was a mistake, she started calling Kevin her husband. Or has she used the spell on him again? Lexa wondered. Ah, I forgot that our little girl here haven't heard about our relationship. Jerry flashes an evil smile at Lexa. Jerry can keep your mouth shut for a while. Kevin said. It seems like Jerry will be the one spoiling the relationship between him and her. Kevin, what's going on? Are you guys dating? Lexa, it's a kind of complicated. The thing is, I'm not who you think I am. You're a Triling. Is that what you want to say? Lexa said, interrupting Kevin's stammering. Yep. But how do you know about that? Jerry had immediately stood between the two students. You guys should calm down. I kinda told Lexa that you're a Triling. Believe me, that's all. I didn't tell her that you made me your harem wife. Jerry sucked in her lips as she realized what she just said now. Kevin scoffed while Lexa laughed amusingly to herself. And that too. Jerry replied. See, I've been keeping the secret about myself for a long time, no one knows what I am. But you just appeared out of nowhere and said you know that I'm a Trilling and had even started telling everyone who I am. Kevin said. No, I only told Lexa about it. No one else. Lexa uttered out. Thank God it's just Lexa and no one else. Kevin replied. Why? But everyone has been waiting to see the Trilling. Everyone. The system said. That's a lie. Kevin glanced at Lexa and saw that she had a confused look on her face. It seems like she doesn't know anything about a Trilling. Walking forward to Jerry, Kevin grabbed her neck and pinned her back against the wall, lifting her up in the air. Reveal yourself now. Who are you, who sent you, how did you know that I'm a Trilling? I demand an explanation or I'll kill you. You have 5 seconds to give me an answer. Kevin, but I'm your harem wife. Jerry said slowly. I told you it could be only today. What kind of husband would do this to his wife? So you don't trust me even though I'm your harem wife? Jerry said. Well, your time is up, time to die. Kevin pressed his hands against Jerry's neck and started squeezing tightly. Stop. I'll. Jerry said faintly. Kevin, stop, you're going to kill her. Lexa noticed that Kevin's eyes had changed to crimson red, there was no black in his eyes anymore. No, I need to stop him. Lexa said as she ran towards Kevin. Kevin, calm yourself down. Try to control the anger. I can't. It seems like something has possessed me. Kevin replied. It is the anger spell coming from the blood stone. Some people might have tampered with the blood stone, the power has been exposed to the public. That's why you're like this. I thought you said no spell will have an effect on me anymore. Yes, but not the blood stone. Once taken out of the room, it will be difficult to control, it feeds on fear, anger, and greed and causes destruction and death. Kevin, you need to calm yourself down to get over the spell. I'm trying to calm myself but what Dan did to me kept on flashing in my mind. Kevin explained. It's the power of the blood stone. It brings out the anger in you to cause destruction. Kevin. Lexa shouted as she pushed him away from Jerry. 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 Are you okay? Lexa said as she lifted her off the ground. Thankfully, she was still alive but her neck had turned reddish and was coughing really hard. If Lexa hadn't interfered sooner, she would have died. Kevin had stand up from where he was and had moved towards the girl but Lexa stopped him from getting closer to them. Don't come closer to us. Lexa said. Lexa, I'm sorry, it wasn't intentional. Kevin pleaded. No, you're a killer. Lexa, it's okay. I'm fine. Jerry said, appearing out of the shadow. I had to rewrite this, the first copy was deleted which is so painful. But I came up with new ideas and added them to this chapter. Question. What do you think will happen next? Will Lexa and Jerry continue liking Kevin or not? Let me hear your opinion in the comments section. Chapter 74. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 74. Chapter 74. Blind Sunny. All the teachers of the academy had started leaving the palace, and the teleporters have been made ready for the safe return of everyone. But the mood was damp and everyone seems to be silent. They couldn't believe the king finally accepted Sophia's proposal. Someone who had not been in their land for a couple of years. This is a really bad idea. What exactly is the king thinking? Some of the teachers started discussing within themselves. Prita, who was still worried about her daughter, immediately came out of the palace and started walking towards Sophia. You witch, where is my daughter? Prita shouted as she clasped Sophia's hand and slapped her on the face. Prita! The headmaster called out. A few guards had gone to report to the king that the deans were starting a fight. Sophia glanced at Prita angrily and grinned wickedly at her. Your daughter is behind you, idiot. She swore. If not for her, I would have ripped your heart off your chest. Be thankful I didn't do that, you crazy mother. Mother. As Prita heard her daughter call her name, she immediately let go of Sophia's dress and turned to see who was standing behind her. It was her poor daughter, Sunny, who has been blind from birth. But even though she was blind, she could see things more than anyone could. Sunny, my daughter, are you hurt anywhere? Prita attempted to hug her daughter, but Sunny ultimately pushed her away. Get away from me, I don't want to see you, Sunny said as she turned her back to her mother. You all think of me as a bad person, didn't you? Sophia said. But you were all blind when Prita's cousin came to visit her. Her cousin is a vampire and you all know this. Yet you allowed him to enter the Light City, the Sparkle City that forbids we dark creatures and other creatures, including ogres and dwarfs, from entering. Everyone went silent as they listened to what Sophia was saying. The king had come out of his throne room after hearing that the two former deans were about to engage in a fight again. But surprisingly, he saw Prita kneeling on the ground with her daughter turning her back at her. While he saw Sophia talking, Evelyn, the queen, had also stood beside the king to listen to what the discussion is all about. This little girl told me that her mother was drunk and had mistakenly spilled the location of where the bloodstone was kept to the vampire cousin that came to visit them. I know this was a mistake because she was drunk, but she shouldn't have allowed the cousin to come into the house in the first place. Do you know that this girl has a talent for seeing what was to happen in the future, just like my daughter? That night Sunny saw a vision and she embarked on a journey the next day to tell me what she saw. She had to journey for 3 days into the forest to see me. She said she doesn't trust her mother anymore and had come to meet me. She explained that the dark creatures are the solution to the problem that was to come. That was why you saw us here, unexpectedly. It's not in my plan to tell anyone about this, but I had to because we're in great danger at the moment. Sophia explained. If I may ask, Sophia, what is this danger about? Adam, the schoolmaster, asked. There. Sunny pointed her hands towards the sky. She could see it, even with her blind eyes. A blackish red cloud had formed in the sky, but it was located around the academy, which was far from where the palace was. Is that not near the academy? One of the teachers asked. No, the bloodstone has been stolen, Adam shouted. Those that stole the bloodstone cast a spell on the whole of the academy before leaving. It may be the fear spell or anger spell or greed spell. The spell will cause death and destruction if we don't stop it. One of the soldiers of the academy had used the teleporter to appear in the palace. He went towards Adam and saluted. Sir, the bloodstone has been stolen and the soldiers guarding it have been killed by strange men who we suspected to be the kidnappers that have been kidnapping our students. The soldier reported. All the students have started fighting each other for no reason. Then it means the anger spell was cast. We need to stop the students by calming them down. All master wizards and witches should follow me. We need to form a mass calming spell on every corner of the academy to drive the spell away. Adam ordered before turning to face Prita. We'll deal with you later, Adam told Prita, and then head into the teleporter with the master wizards and witches. Since it was a battle against spells, only those who learned spells were told to come. The rest of the teachers left were mages who learned pure magic. Did you see yourself now, Prita? Sophia said before going through the portal. You used your stubbornness to cause a problem for everyone. Now every magical creature is not safe because of the mistake you made. I need you to think of a solution to retrieve back the bloodstone. As Sophia ended her speech, she immediately went through the portal. Sunny, I'm sorry. I should have listened to you, but as you said, you have seen what was to happen. That the vampires stole the bloodstone was meant to happen. There's nothing I could do since it has been destined to happen that way. Prita said. But it can still be changed. The future can be changed if we try. Sunny said. You did not try even after I told you what was to come. Do you know what I'm going to face if this future doesn't change? You may not see me again, Mother. My only hope right now is the Trilling. Only if the Trilling marries me can I escape this terrible fate of mine. Sunny thought. I need to search for him. Chapter 75. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 75. Chapter 75. The men's thing, Lexa, it's okay. I'm fine. Jerry said as she came out of the shadow, and the Jerry that was in Lexa's arms immediately disappeared. What is going on? Lexa asked fearfully. She lifted herself from the ground and glared at the Jerry coming in front of her. Kevin asked how I knew he was the Trilling. I used a talent of mine and saw what was to happen in the future. I saw that Kevin was going to ask me this question and he was going to kill me, so I created a clone of myself with shadow magic. The Jerry he attempted to kill was my shadow clone. But it's not Kevin's fault. The Bloodstone has been stolen, and everyone fighting outside, including my brother, intended to annihilate each other. It is no longer a simple fight. What do you mean? Lexa asked. The thing is, the Bloodstone has been stolen and it is in the hands of the wrong people. They just summoned the power of the Bloodstone, and now it's possessing the mind of everyone angry presently. That's why you shouldn't get angry at Kevin, or you might do worse than what he did now. Lexa explained. Lexa, Jerry, both of you, I'm so sorry. I wasn't in my actual mind back then. It was the anger spell, or what is it called, that came over me. And it's so difficult for me to control. Kevin said as he moved towards the two girls and hugged them. I know, that's why you must save them. Jerry took Kevin's finger and inserted a ring into his hands. Kevin took a look at his fingers and saw that it was a Trilling ring. How did you get this ring? Kevin asked. As I said, I have the talent of seeing the future, so I chose to become your harem wife to help and warn you of the dangers that are to come in the future. This ring was one of the Trilling rings I purchased when I was yet to have any magic or spells. I thought it was going to make me stronger as everyone had thought, but after I started having visions of the future, I realized that the ring wasn't meant for me but for you. It is a wish-granting ring, it grants only one wish, so think wisely before you wish. Jerry said. So you mean, you can see the future? Kevin asked. No, the possible future. Sometimes they change with each decision we make, so I only see the possibilities of what was to happen in the future. Jerry explained. Oh, that makes sense then, Kevin said. He was amazed by this discovery. Jerry, thank you for staying alive, Kevin said. Yeah, it was my clone who felt the pain, not me, so it's okay. Jerry smiled at him. Wait, can you guys explain to me what a Trilling is? Lexa said. Okay, I'll explain, Kevin said. He started unbuttoning the shirt of his uniform. Should I close my eyes or something? Lexa asked shyly. No, it's okay. I'm done anyway. Kevin replied. The sight of Kevin's chest made Lexa gasp in amazement. Beautiful chest, isn't it? Jerry asked before glancing at Kevin. It's just as beautiful as the one I saw in my vision. Is the vision about today? Kevin asked. No. It's a different day, a very special day. Jerry giggled. Okay, Kevin said before sprouting his gigantic wings and flew into the air. Wow! Lexa and Jerry exclaimed. It is so beautiful. Magnificent wings. So, do you like it? Kevin asked as he landed in front of Lexa. Yeah, but I thought you are an elf. How come you have fairy wings? She asked. That's the thing, I'm not just an elf. I have the fairy and the human gene in me. I thought you must have heard or read about a Trilling, but it appears like you have no idea of what it is. Kevin said. No, I know what a trilling is. I just don't believe someone like that could exist in our world. But you are one, which proves to me that I'm wrong, and the book was right. A trilling truly exists in our world. Lexa lifted her face and glanced at Kevin. She lifted her hand slightly before punching Kevin in the stomach. Ow, Kevin said in a low tone. Is it painful? Lexa asked, but looking at Kevin's expression confirmed that it wasn't painful at all. Why did you punch me? He asked confusingly. I want to see if what they said about a trilling was true. It was said that a trilling could receive several beatings without feeling any pain, so I punched you to confirm. Lexa answered. So, are you convinced now? No, I need to try everything out and see if you are a trilling and if what they said about them is true. Lexa flashed a funny smile at Kevin. Bring out your energy sword. You should have at least gone further than most of us who are just learning the basics of magic. So, therefore, let us see how strong your energy sword is. Jerry smiled as she watched the two students. I can't do that yet. I only discovered who I was a few days ago, so I'm just learning the basics little by little. So I'm not as strong as the trilling you read about in the book. Kevin replied, there are quests and things I need to accomplish before I could evolve to the next level. Part of them is the rings that these bullies we fought have in their hands. It originally belonged to a trilling like me. Kevin explained. He needs the golden ring I told you about, to get stronger. Jerry said to Lexa before turning to face Kevin, my brother has one of those rings, I can help you take it from him. Thank you so much, Jerry, Kevin said with a smile. Lexa cleared her throat to call the attention of the others. Since you are unable to do as I asked, then you're not a trilling to me, you're just Kevin, the only Kevin I know, Lexa said. Lexa, I already explained it to you. No, you didn't explain this. Why would you make a dark fairy your harem wife when there is a light fairy as beautiful as me who always stays by your side? Huh? What do you mean? Shit, Kevin. I know you'll fuck up. Time to teach you the men's thing, I know you're still a teenager but you possess the power of 1,000,000 year-old god, so use this chance to your advantage. Have more harem wives and become famous. Can't you see that Lexa is stylishly confessing to you? She wants to become your harem wife. You'll make her look like a fool if you keep on asking what she meant. She wouldn't want to explain fully. Then what should I do, system? Listen carefully. The system replied. Kevin flashed a smile at Lexa as he took a few steps toward her. Jerry had caught up with what Lexa was planning to say to Kevin, so she walked in a direction to see what was happening outside through the window. And her eyes widened at what she saw. Thanks for the support guys, we're getting to the top steadily. Chapter 76 You are listening at novelfull.audio. 76 Chapter 76 The White House, Lexa, I know this is insane. But I want you to know that I meant it from the bottom of my heart. Kevin said as he held Lexa's hands. Before I made Jerry my harem wife, I had these crazy feelings for you. I would have made you my only girlfriend but sadly, because of who I am, I can't have just one girlfriend. I don't know how you feel about this but I want you to be my second harem wife. Well, you're the first to me. Come on, that's not what I thought you to say, the system said. Your suggestions are bad, I'm doing it my way. Kevin said to the system. Hearing Kevin confess his feelings to her, Lexa chuckled and smiled at Kevin. Can I speak now? Sure, yeah sure, he answered. I also have these crazy feelings for you. I would have been your only girlfriend but sadly, because of who you are, you can't have just me as your girlfriend. So I'm becoming your harem wife. Lexa said. Are you imitating what I said? Kevin replied. No, dumb head. I was saying the opposite but similar thing you said. Lexa blurted out. I understand that you are a trilling and you know, whatever. The most important thing is that we both have feelings for each other and I'm your wife. You'll treat me like you treat your other harem wives. Oh really? You don't want an extra treatment or something? Kevin replied, teasingly. Okay, I give up. Give me special treatments, okay, she whispered and Kevin nodded. Before you could be my harem wife, there's something you need to do, Kevin said as he activated the system. He clicked on the status bar and searched for the harem tab. Clicking on the Add a Harem Wife tab, another notification appeared above his face. Yes. Swiftly, both students had been transported into a white room. It was the same white room as the one Jerry and Kevin found themselves in. Wow, Kevin, you're so full of surprises. I know you are powerful, but I didn't imagine you could do something like this. Lexa exclaimed as she looked around the white room. Kevin, what's this computer tab thing about? Lexa said. Wait, she has the system tab appearing above her face. Yes, Kevin, since she's to be engaged to you, the system needs her agreement. The two of you will become one once you are engaged to each other. Same for your other harem wives too, they'll be able to receive notifications from the system on how strong they are and if you are in danger. Apart from this, they'll also get notified if you give them quests to do. I can give them quests too? Kevin asked surprisingly. Yeah. The system replied. Wow, that's awesome. Kevin tilted his head to look at Lexa and then saw her in a white wedding gown. Are you kidding me? Kevin marveled at what he was seeing. Lexa was wearing a white wedding gown with diamond stones on it. How did you do that, Lexa? He exclaimed as he grabbed Lexa's arm. I don't know, I just clicked on this computer thing, it said if I wanted a bride gown, and here's the result. Did I do something wrong? She asked. No, you did nothing wrong, Lexa, you're just so beautiful, Kevin said before crushing his lips on Lexa's. It's not time for that, Kevin. The A1 system said. While the two kissed, Lexa had her eyes closed, but she then received another message from Kevin. Without opening her eyes or stopping the kissing thing, she muttered yes to her breath and the system beeped, signifying the end of the engagement. They kept on kissing and both couldn't seem to let go of each other. Will you guys cut it out? Jerry said as she watched the two kissers. They suddenly jerked off as they heard Jerry's voice. We're back, Kevin said, looking around him. Yeah, Lexa replied as she blushed embarrassed. Kevin was the first male she ever kissed. She felt the pleasure she never felt before come over her at that moment. She couldn't restrain herself and made Kevin place his hands on her breasts, but before they could attempt to do anything, Jerry stopped them. She blushed as she realized that Jerry had been watching them. You guys need to see this. Come with me. Jerry said as she went towards the window. Perhaps it was the light that was in the basketball court that made them not realize that a dark cloud had formed outside. What the hell is that? Lexa asked as she saw the reddish-black sky. She turned her gaze to the ground and saw several students fighting each other. And the students over there are killing each other. It is an anger spell, the spell feeds on the anger of people, Kevin explained. Anger spell? Lexa inquired. Yeah, it is one of the powers of the bloodstone, the anger spell. But I thought the bloodstone was kept in a very secured place, out of anyone's reach. The stone has been stolen by the vampires just as it was seen in the vision, Jerry answered. The anger spell, is that what made Kevin almost kill you back then? Hey, don't embarrass me, Kevin said. It wasn't me, I was acting against my wish back then, just as these students are acting against their wish at the moment, Kevin said. Wait, can you see that? Jerry pointed out into the sky. Several teachers could be seen flying in the sky and they had this smile on their faces. They are the master wizards and witches of the school, but what's with their silly smile, Lexa said. I think they are trying to stop the anger spell by casting a calming spell on the students. I think that's why they have those bad smiles on their faces. The students laughed as they watched the masters cast the spell. Thanks for your comment and support. What would I have done without you guys? Chapter 77. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 77. Chapter 77. The Vampire Emperor. Fluttering his eyes open, a beautiful sight appeared right after his eyes. A huge castle standing about 50 meters above the ground was revealed to Dan. A yawn came from his mouth and he discovered that he was sitting behind a horse rider. The horse rider was Harry, the guy who had told him about his vampire father. He forsook all his friends and followed these strange men because of the answers he seek. He became a full vampire because of this aim. Where are we? Dan asked faintly. You're awake just in time. This is it, the Vampire Kingdom. We are presently in the Emperor's castle. Your father's castle. Harry replied. For real. So how do you like it, is it beautiful? Beautiful than where you came from? Harry said. The two lands are both beautiful, there's no difference. You have the technology, and they also have. So it's equal to me. Dan replied. That's not what I'm talking about. Yes, they may both look beautiful but there's a difference between the two. And what's the difference? You, Harry replied. You own this land and kingdom but you do not own that one. That's the difference. Ever since you were a kid, no one ever treated you as someone important. But now that you're back in your rightful place, your story will be changed to a better one. Open the gate. One of the vampires said, and the gate leading to the city was opened for the men to enter. Kevin could see elves and fairies on every corner of the city, being treated as slaves. They were carrying heavy stones and gold without using magic or spell. The vampires placed a device on their feet, it won't allow them to use their magic or spell against the vampires or any other creature. But what Dan didn't realize was that there were also humans among them, but since they looked like fairies without wings, Kevin thought they were fairies. The vampires proceeded into the castle after getting down from their horses. They walked through the stairs and when they got to a room having 3 thrones, they stopped. Everyone was silent until a vampire suddenly shouted. His Imperial Highness, Emperor Lucas. Just as the man announced, trumpets were blown and a middle-aged man entered the room. The vampires bowed their heads as a sign of respect for their leader and Dan also bowed. After the emperor was seated on his throne, the vampires standing by his side took a rectangular glass box that was covered with a piece of clothing and presented it to the emperor. During the journey into the castle, Dan saw the vampires carrying the box as they walked through the stairs. At that moment, he wondered what was in the box, but he took his mind off it since it doesn't concern him. The glass cylinder was placed on a table close to where the emperor was seated. We cast the spell as you commanded, your highness, Harry reported. Ah, is that so? The academy would have been full of blood now. I can imagine the shock on everyone's face. The emperor had an evil smile formed on his lips. Dan's eyes widened as he heard that the bloodstone was stolen. If he was right, the bloodstone was the thing inside the glass rectangular box. How were they able to steal it without being caught? Dan wondered. They must have known that we planned to steal the bloodstone. Despite that, the dark creatures came to the light city, but they still weren't able to stop us. You did a good job, Andrew. The emperor glanced at the old vampire standing by his side. Your cousin will be so angry at herself for revealing the location of the stone. After the chit-chats with the vampires, the emperor shifted his gaze towards the vampire standing at the left side of the room. Son, why are you afraid? Come closer to me. The emperor said, looking in Dan's direction. The other vampires turned their gazes to Dan, as they waited for him to heed the emperor's call. Is he talking to me? Dan asked. He walked towards the emperor and knelt before him. Your Imperial Highness. Dan bowed his face downwards. Come on, who told you to do things like this? The emperor laughed widely. Dan's eyes twitched slightly as he saw the vampire laugh. He heard stories of how powerful emperors are, that their presence alone strikes fear into the heart of people. He assumed that since this emperor was a vampire, he must be more powerful than any other emperor in existence. And such people like this deserve to be honored. So he thought bowing is the right thing to do. Dan, you are my son. You don't need to bow as the others do. The emperor said. I know you have a lot of questions to ask. I'll be sure to answer each of them. But first, you need to be powered. Huh? Dan was confused. Stand, son. He ordered, and Dan slowly lifted himself off the ground. The emperor was handed the glass rectangular box, and removing the piece of clothing that was used to hide what was in the box, the bloodstone was revealed. It was a red baseball-sized gemstone. The emperor then proceeded on taking the stone out of the glass. As the stone left the glass box, the aura of the bloodstone was felt by everyone in the room. It was clear that the glass box hid the aura of the bloodstone, or it might have made the vampires that stole the stone go insane, or worse, kill them. Many thought the bloodstone only brings evil upon people, but they didn't know that the stone could make you the strongest person in the whole universe. This stone can only be activated if two people related by blood activate it together. The emperor stated. I would have wished for the two of us to activate it, but you are still weak to do so. You will be consumed by the power of the bloodstone if you try to touch it in your weak state. Your Highness, we could give the prince a 1-month training, he should have gotten stronger than this by then. No, 1 month is a long time. I have wars coming ahead. Teach him what he needs to know within 2 to 3 weeks. Make him evolve as soon as possible. Chapter 78. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 78. Chapter 78. Giving quests to wives. The redness of the sky had started fading as the blue bright sky started uncovering itself. The vicious students, who were unaware of what they were doing due to the spell from the bloodstone, started getting back to their senses. They all look at those that died at their hands. Their friends, brothers, sisters, and siblings that they killed with their own hands. It was a very bad tragedy. Kevin and the girls watched the scene of what was happening from the basketball court. They weren't able to see them clearly because of the darkness that were superior to them all. But now that the spell has been lifted, the darkness was gone and they were able to see everyone. If only we could have helped, these people wouldn't have died. Lexa lamented. I know, but we are in a great risk if we go out there. We might get killed or something. That's why we're safe here. Kevin replied. The Master Wizards have done their part in stopping the spell from annihilating everyone, at least half of us are still alive. Let's be thankful all of us weren't wiped out by the evil powers of the stone. Jerry said. This even reminds me, how are you guys going to go out there with your torn shirts? Kevin said. Their uniforms were torn beyond repair and it will seem embarrassing to go out there. Not that I would allow you to leave half naked. You're my wives after all. Kevin said. The two girls glanced at each other and a smirk appeared on their faces. Lexa positioned her hands on the chest of her black singlet and her one-arm torn shirt started repairing back to normal. After which it appeared new, like nothing ever happened to it before. I guess you don't have the singlet because you're an elf, Jerry said as she implied at her chest. This black singlet has the ability to repair every torn cloth we wear on top of it. The reason is because of our wings. When we bring out our wings, it tends to tear whatever cloth we wear, so the scientists came up with this unterrible, cloth-repairing singlet. She explained. Kevin was amazed by this knowledge. If he could have something like this, he wouldn't have to worry about removing his uniform and exposing his body before he could use his wings. Something needed to be done to this problem and luckily, he found a solution. Wow, that's great. Can I also get mine? My uniform gets torn every time I summon my fairy wings. Kevin asked, but he noticed that the two girls were silent. Their eyes twitched slightly. If it were the females, it would have been easier to get from the staff room of the head of the female fairy department. There was a strict rule that only girls and fairies must enter the room. Even if any boy sneaks into the room, there's a surveillance camera watching anyone who sneaks in. Same for the staff room of the head of the male fairy department. His was dark and scary, and even the teacher himself was scary. Air. Our supplies were left back in the forest, so I can't get any for you on our side. How about you ask Lexa, she might have an idea of where we could find one in the academy. Jerry said. Yeah, I know where we could find one, but it's not an easy task. The place is kinda scary and... Lexa replied, but she was interrupted before she could even speak further. Come on Lexa, do this for your husband. He requires that singlet and you know that. Kevin said, as his hands ran down Lexa's hair. The three were still standing by the window, but no one could see them from where they are. What will you give me in return? She asked. You want something in return? Lexa nodded. Kevin, I have an idea, why don't you give her the task of getting the singlet for you as a quest and then reward her with something good, just like the way you obtain quests from the system. You always seem so determined to accomplish every of the quests you receive because of the rewards attached to them. So use this scheme to make your wife complete the quest. The A1 system explained to Kevin. You know what Lexa, you said you want something in return, right? How about I give you a quest? Clicking on the grant quest option that was displayed to him, he selected the name of the person he wanted to give the quest to, and then the final notification appeared before his face. Yes. After selecting the yes option, the system beeped that it was a success and a notification tab appeared before Lexa. Since she has seen something like this before, it wasn't strange to her when she received the message. Although she was wondering how Kevin was able to create something like this, she kept the question to herself, waiting till Kevin tells her. And if he doesn't, then there's no problem. It's not like she cared about what it was in the first place. She read the notification that was shown to her and a funny smile came over her lips. Even after reading this, she couldn't hold in her laugh and started blushing hard. Jerry had a curious look on her face and couldn't help but ask what was going on. Lexa, what is it? Why are you laughing? She asked. Check your vision, you should have seen it, Lexa said, still laughing as she blushed harder. Sorry, but my vision doesn't work like that. I only see things that concern me, the person close to me, and those I need to help out by fighting, or giving advice. That's how my vision works. Jerry replied. Since you guys have your clothes repaired back to normal, why don't we leave this goddamn sticking place, before anyone catches us, Kevin said. Wait, are we leaving these elves' corpse here? Jerry asked. I have an idea, how about we open a portal and transport their bodies close to where everyone is gathered down there, Lexa suggested. A portal? How? Kevin asked. He knew he had no such skill and Lexa was an ice ability user. A shadow portal. She answered. Chapter 79. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 79. Chapter 79. Giving quests to wives, a shadow portal. Jerry asked. Moving her hands in a circular motion, a portal leading to the gate of the academy was conveyed to them. They could see soldiers that had fought and killed themselves due to the anger spell laying on the ground. This was the first time Kevin would be seeing Lexa use shadow magic. Lexa, how are you able to use shadow magic? I thought your magic was ice. Kevin asked, surprisingly. The thing is, she has two magics just like me, but her second magic is not shadow magic. It's kinda rare. It is copy magic. I'm able to copy magic from touching people, but I don't know how many I could copy and the duration. But I'm sure the magic is still at the lowest level, I could level up the magic the more I keep on using it. This is good news, Kevin. You don't just have two strong wives but their magics are top-notch. Jerry here has fire and shadow magic while Lexa has ice and this copy magic. You would be able to level up faster as long as you guys fight and defeat beasts and other creatures. the system said. An idea suddenly struck Kevin as he heard the word beast. How about sneaking out of the academy to hunt beast crystals? This is better than killing students all the time. They got lucky that the Bloodstone incident happened. They might get caught by someone next time. Jerry had used her shadow magic to lift the dead elves from the ground and made them pass through the portal to the academy gate. It was obvious that Jerry was so skillful in using shadow magic. Kevin was wondering how long she had the shadow magic and then asked her the question. Jerry, since when did you start learning shadow magic? Kevin asked. When I was 8. My mom forced me to learn such difficult magic that no dark creatures were able to learn, and I'm thankful for that. Now I'm the strongest shadow magic user to ever exist. Jerry boasted. Oh yeah, are you stronger than me? I have shadow magic too, and you can't do most of the things I'm doing. Lexa smirked. Hey, that's not shadow magic, you only had that ability because you copied it from me, Jerry replied. But still, I'll be stronger than you if I have that magic. Far from it, do you know how many years I spent learning the magic before getting a hand of how it works? I was a strong person from the start, but that doesn't mean I was able to learn the shadow quicker. Jerry explained. What about you, Kevin? I know you had lightning magic, but when did you start learning shadow magic? Lexa asked as the last elf passed through the portal and closed it up. Girls, this is a secret. I never learned any of my magics, I just happened to have them. Kevin said. Wow, lucky you, Jerry replied. I mean, you are a Trilling, so it's expected. In a book I once read about the past Trilling, it was said that he was the best among the other students of the academy. It was said that he knew all the skills and lessons to be taught in the academy before the classes begins. And was undefeated in any match. He must be really strong then, Lexa commented. Yeah. Hearing that there was a book with the story of the past Trilling, Kevin was more than excited to read it. He would be able to learn about things a Trilling could do and the story of the past Trilling himself. Jerry, can you help me get the book? I need to read the story myself. I didn't have proper training, perhaps the book might help in some ways. Kevin requested. Yeah, sure. I'll help you get it. Jerry replied instantly. Then I'll be giving you a quest too, Kevin said, and a gentle smile appeared on Jerry's lips. Let the reward be like Lexa's own. She said. Lexa's eyes made contact with Kevin's in an instant. She shook her head slightly and Kevin understood what she meant. To not make Jerry suspect them, he tended to reward Jerry in a way that won't feel too impartial. Jerry flashed a smile at Kevin as she saw this. Is it the same as Lexa's? She asked. Yeah, sure it is. Kevin smiled back at her. His gaze met with Lexa, who started mouthing words to him. Kevin thought he could understand what she was saying, so he paid attention to her. Did you give her the same reward as mine? Was what Kevin was able to read from her mouth. He nodded negatively and Lexa heaved a sigh of relief. Heck, this whole idea of being a harem wife is crazy. It's a good thing I don't get too jealous. Shit, I'm lying. I'm a jealous freak. Lexa thought within herself. After the whole corpse situation has been taken care of, the students decided to head towards the already assembled students that were outside. The door of the court was opened and they swiftly went toward the students. They could see it, both the dark and light creatures were assembling. No one cared about the difference in the race anymore, at least for now, that they were all shocked at what they did to their fellow students. The light killed his light friend, while the dark murdered his dark siblings. They were in extreme shock. Graham had become as gentle as ever, while Max was as cool as the evening breeze. Even though the two didn't kill any of their friends or siblings, they fought each other and had gotten tired and weary. The schoolmaster started walking towards the podium that was in front of the students as he started with his announcement and speech. Thanks for the support. Chapter 80. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 80. Chapter 80. Vampires amidst us. Hello everyone, Adam said through a microphone. I'm sad to tell you that you all will be vacating the academy now. Everyone had started murmuring within themselves, including the dark creatures. Silence. One of the academy soldiers shouted and the students momentarily shut their mouths. You may not know, but there are spies within us that are secretly giving out pieces of information to their masters, Adam said. He planned not to reveal the name vampire yet. The students will only get curious and lots of questions will be asked. He hates answering questions. But even though he didn't mention the name vampire, the students started raising their hands to ask questions. Size, yes, what's your question? He pointed to one of the students standing at the front row. He was a light fairy. None of the dark creatures raised their hands as they already knew who was behind the spying that Adam was trying so hard to keep a secret. They were wondering why Adam didn't mention that they were vampires. Sophia have told them beforehand, about the vision they saw about the vampires, so they knew the bloodstone will be stolen but didn't realize that it would be today. Sophia had told them that she will be telling the light creatures about the danger to come, but before then, she want to make sure the dark creatures inhabit their rightful home, which was the Light City, also known as the Sparkle City. They looked around to see if Sophia was nearby, but they couldn't catch a glimpse of her at all. The light creature student that wanted to ask a question had started his speech. Who are these spies? Does it have something to do with the presence of the dark creatures in the academy? I heard that they once wanted to steal the bloodstone from the academy. We saw the sky change, and according to the testimonies from everyone, we heard something echoing blood into our ears, the male fairy asked. Kevin, when you were possessed by the anger spell back in the basketball academy, did you hear blood echoing in your ears? Jerry asked. No, I didn't hear anything. I'm just as surprised as you. Wait, what's wrong? Kevin asked. I think that guy seems strange. Kevin's mind seemed to be occupied with something else, so he didn't pay much attention to what Jerry was saying. It was a shortcut to listening to Jerry's explanation. Kevin traced where the male was and decided to move closer to him, but Jerry grabbed his hands before he could leave. Let's go together, I know a spell that forces people to say the truth. She said. Okay, let's go. Kevin agreed, but Lexa had stopped them. Hey, what about me? I can help too, Lexa said. BVEC, Lexa, you stay close to us, watch out for whoever oddly approaches us, okay? Lexa sighed and replied faintly. Okay. The two then started walking towards the fairy boy. Could it be that the leaders of the dark creatures have stolen the bloodstone and have run away? The fairy said, but Adam suddenly shouted with anger. Shut your mouth. Who said the bloodstone was stolen? If I ever hear you talk about the bloodstone again, I'll seal up your mouth. Adam said before pointing his fingers at all the students. Same goes for all of you. Adam, when are you going to tell them the truth? Say the truth and let your liar self be ashamed. Sophia replied as she appeared beside Adam. The truth is that, she was beside Adam the whole time, she only used an invisible spell to make herself invisible. But now she was visible to everyone. The dark creatures were glad to see their leader once again. Do you want to know the truth, or do you want to stay with the lies you have been told? Sophia asked, but she saw the unsure looks on their faces. Sophia, what are you doing? You can't just interfere in my discussion like that, Adam said. Why didn't you defend my name when this student started insulting the dark creature's name? Sophia replied. Her blood boiled with anger as she glanced at Adam's chiseled face. His face was annoying enough for Sophia that she felt like hitting or cutting off the skin of his face. She took her face away from Adam to not do as her mind was telling her to, and then started talking to the students. Do you know that these so-called spies that your dear schoolmaster is trying to hide are nothing but those blood-sucking creatures called vampires? Sophia said, and the whole students gasped in fear at the mention of their name. Vampires were said to be mythical creatures found in myths and stories. They never believed that they could be real. Vampires are not real. Stop giving us fake news. How are we sure you're not working for them? Tell us the truth. The students started shouting, which breaks Sophia's heart badly. The dark creatures, seeing how disheartened their leader was, started defending her by shutting the light creatures up by using violence. The two groups of students started engaging in a fight once again. Did you see what you caused now? Adam grinned at her before ordering the soldiers to stop the students from fighting. That was when someone appeared beside Sophia. I'm sorry Sophia, I was the cause of all this mess. I'll try and unite us as we should have been before now. Prita said as she faced the students to talk to them. You should have done so before now. Do you think I will forgive these students after insulting our name? Sophia frowned within herself. Ahem. Prita tried to call for the attention of the students. Few had stopped fighting, but there were still the stubborn ones who continued fighting, not caring whatever was done to them. But the academy soldiers had stopped them, and the fight has been stopped, at least for now. After the murmurings died down, Prita started speaking. Do not blame the dark creatures, they are not the ones at fault. The vampires are real, and I'll tell you the truth, they stole the bloodstone and used one of the evil spells of the stone on you guys, that's why you were all fighting each other unwillingly. Sorry guys, I'm super busy today. The second chapter will come soon. Maybe a few minutes or an hour later to this time. Thanks for the support.